Hi, I'm Deanna Lima, North Andover's Community Support Coordinator, and I'm joined today by Katie Kozikowski, North Andover's Community Service Officer. Thank you for joining me, Katie.
Oh, thanks for having me, Deanna.
Today we are going to talk about how to deal with the stress and other issues that come from being in a crisis like we are now. I want to point out some of the resources that we have on North Andover's website. There are some very valuable resources here, as you can see, on dealing with social emotional issues. One of the most important factors to consider is to limit exposure to the information that is available about this crisis. People tend to spend too much time on the internet, social media, and watching the news. It is important to stay informed, however, it's also important to spend time doing other activities. It's also very important to limit children's exposure to the information that is available. And there is plenty of information here that will allow you to find out what's necessary about the crisis, but also to expose your children to other healthy activities. And make sure that when you are looking for information about the crisis, that you are accessing a reputable site. And you can do that through our site here on the North Andover webpage. If you need any additional information, there are links here on how to reach our public health department in North Andover. There's a link here that you can reach me if you need additional information on how to deal with any emotional issue that you or someone in your family may be experiencing. And now we're going to talk to Katie about something that you may not have considered, which is how this crisis could be impacting your pet.
Yes. So just recently, the World Health Organization actually had determined that there currently is no evidence that dogs or cats can transmit COVID-19, especially to people. There was a dog that had a weak positive in Hong Kong that was living with its owners, and they do believe that it potentially could be because there was environmental contamination. So at this point, they are showing no evidence that a pet can transmit it to humans. There is something in dogs also called a coronavirus that they can get, which is an intestinal infection that cannot infect people and is very different than what we're experiencing right now.
Katie, can you tell us what environmental contamination means?
Yes, it means that if people aren't properly covering their cough or their sneeze, they are contaminating other items in their environment, even such as floors, counters, doorknobs. If something is floating around in the air, someone sneezes and they happen to sneeze particles on a pet, that could be a way that they can contaminate something else as well.
So it's just as important for our pets' health that we're practicing safe sneezing.
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
Some other ways that you can help protect yourself, other than just making sure that you are coughing into your arm or sneezing with something covering your face, is again, just like the World Health Organization is saying, make sure that you wash your hands, specifically after you pet animals as well, dogs or cats, especially if they're not your own. Do make sure that you wash your hands before you're touching your face or exposing yourself or your loved ones to anything that could potentially be on animals too. You do want to try and avoid high traffic areas where there could be a lot of dogs and could be a lot of owners, such as dog parks or other areas that really aren't disinfected often. If your dog does really love other dogs, do make sure that if you are going to greet, that you are the recommended 6 feet away from people too, just to help avoid any exposure in that aspect.
So Katie, can you tell us what someone should do if they are self-isolating or quarantined and they have a pet?
So I think the main thing that people should be prepared for in that kind of circumstance, if they do have to stay inside and they are being required to be quarantined or isolated, is to make sure that your pet has another place that they can go. So either with a friend or a family member or someone that can care for them in the usual way that they're used to, making sure they go out for their daily walks so they're not getting all pent up with energy. Potentially, if you've got a young dog, destroying things in your home if they do have all that extra energy inside. One thing that you really should do to make sure you're prepared before you get sick is to have a plan for where they're going to go. And even with that, you want to make sure that your pet is up to date with vaccinations, because if they do have to go to a boarding facility, the state law is that all dogs and cats over 6 months old are required to have a rabies vaccine. And if they're not up to date with a rabies vaccine, they can't be with other animals in a boarding facility. Do make sure that you always keep tags on your pets as well with a collar. and make sure that it's properly attached and with your update contact information. That way, if for some reason a pet should go to a family member and becomes lost, we'll know how to still contact you to get that animal home to you as well. Another thing that owners can do are make sure if your pet has a microchip that the current information is up to date on there as well. I've picked up a lot of animals that have passed owner information on their microchip, which isn't helpful in those kinds of situations. So if your dog or cat should become lost or runs away from anybody that's watching your pet for you, that's the best way that we can make sure, again, that we can get them home to you. But being prepared in those ways is really going to help you're not going to have a lot of stress preparing for where your pet is going to go if you've already got that all planned out and kind of set.
So what do you advise for someone who doesn't have backup for their pet and maybe does get ill and can't care for their pet? What should they do?
What I would recommend in that case is I'd recommend reaching out to boarding facilities ahead of time just to be prepared. Some boarding facilities won't take animals if they've never seen them before. Mm-hmm. In these kind of circumstances, they might bend those rules a little bit depending on what their rules are, how many animals they have, and what they require. So I would recommend reaching out to boarding facilities. You can reach out to local shelters and see if they are an option as well, if it's something that you can't afford to board your animal. Any local shelter in the area, you just have to check with them to see if they have the availability to do that too.
Great, thank you.
So, you're welcome.
And can you give us your contact information in case somebody has more questions?
Yep. You're welcome to call me at 978-242-1511, or if you prefer through email, you can contact me through animalcontrol@napd.us.
Great, thank you so much, Katie. So the important thing is to be prepared. Prepare a plan for your pets, prepare a plan for your family, and prepare ahead of time is the important thing. Visit our website, look at the resources that are there so that you know what to do when the need arises. Make sure you take care of yourself emotionally, make sure you take care of your family, check in on your neighbors if you're able to do so. If you have any questions, you can reach me through the link right here, North Andover Community Support Coordinator. You can also reach me through the website, North Andover website. My information is there as well. So thank you again, Katie, for joining me. It was a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
And thank you all for watching.